Welcome everyone to the June meeting of Central Park United Neighbors. With the support of the MCA, we are coming to you live from the Cube as well as over Zoom, and we aim to make this our new normal. You are always welcome to join us for these meetings in either location or either option. For those of you who don't know the organization, CPUN is the Registered Neighborhood Organization, or RNO, for the Central Park community in Denver and Aurora. We are here to facilitate dialogue and create awareness around opportunities to engage on topics of importance to the community. And we help people to find their way into a process so that resident questions, concerns, and ideas for a better community can be addressed in a constructive and inclusive way. We promote public service, civil civic discourse, and collective efficacy. At monthly meetings, like the one you are at right now, and through the work of our 6 working committees, CPUN facilitates the discussion of key issues with neighbors, engages in proactive problem avoidance, and amicable problem solving. CPUN is committed to providing an inclusive and welcoming environment for all members of our community. We are an all-volunteer board of your neighbors and a registered 501c3. Next slide, please. Thanks. For tonight's outreach meeting, we'll have updates from each of our committees as well as our many community partners. Our special guest this evening is Julian Wolf, who works for the Denver Animal Protection, which is a division of the Department of Public Health and Environment for the City and County of Denver. Julian's here to talk about animal-related information, events, resources, and services for your neighborhood. He also has some important information and reminders for residents as the weather begins to warm up. So prepare those pet and animal related questions you might have now. During our board hour, next slide, please. We will have our committee reports. This is the start of a new board year. I should mention that. So we'll be having our officer elections and summer planning conversations, mainly around committee sign up. We'll then talk a little bit about Denver Days and conclude with our treasurer's report. Next slide, please, Brian. Speaking of Denver Days, this year marks the 10th anniversary of Denver Days, which is a program during the first week of August that encourages neighbors to get to know their fellow neighbors by hosting block parties, picnics, and service projects with a focus really on small organic kind of gatherings. This year's Denver Days will run from the 30th of July through August 7th, and you can learn more about it on the denvergov.org website. If one of my fellow board members wouldn't mind putting the full URL to the Denver Days website in the chat so that people can access that, that'd be great. Thanks. A special feature of Denver Days, if you're not familiar, is that the city will waive your park, picnic, or block permit fees. So block party permits are also waived, and Denver will provide free barricades to ensure your street is closed safely. Parks do fill up fast though, and barricades are limited, so be sure to sign up fast. The deadline for you to register your Denver Days event is July 15th. We'll next move on to our committee updates. Here's where we want our committees to share any open opportunities to engage on their respective topics. So do any of our committees have something they'd like to share? Amanda does. All right, I'm gonna make sure my computer's turned up and near Amanda.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you can unmute.
I'm unmuted and there's an echo. Okay.
There you go. Talking to my computer.
Okay,
there you go.
That's fine. Okay, well, all right. So, hi. My name is Amanda Althouse. Hi. There we go. Okay. So, hi, I'm going to give an update from the Education Committee, and we met earlier this month. We wanted to reiterate some goals that we have as a committee and ways that we're going to be implementing those in the upcoming year. And one overarching goal of the committee is to connect all of the neighborhood schools with the community beyond the families and the children that attend those schools. To achieve this summer, you'll see in our community emails that we're seeking representation from all elementary, middle, and high schools particularly parents or community members in any way that serve on each school's school accountability committee, or it might go by a slightly different acronym at each school, or people willing to attend these school accountability committee meetings. Other outcomes from this connectivity would be improved material and human support of schools by knowing their needs, and connection of available skills and energy in the community that schools have to tap into. All right. So if you serve on your school's school accountability committee, or you know someone that does, please put them in contact with us. I think I'll circle back to this. If not, I will be talking about it again in a second. Either way, so we are listing a call for volunteers in our monthly emails, and if we don't achieve this by the fall, we'll just start contacting the schools directly to ask for names, and then we'll contact people directly. So an additional goal we have is to work with GPS and school leaders and the community on improving communication in the community and across schools, planning for long-term capacity needs in the Central Park community, and improving transparency and trust and decision-making. So through having this community-wide representation on the committee, as I just mentioned, we seek to have members that can make informed decisions with our DPS school board member as well as the superintendent. So ideally, we're not going to fill up people's calendars with a lot of meetings. If we get the volunteers who are already serving on these committees, we'll try to stagger our meetings to complement busy schedules. But that way we'll have a panel of people who can help inform the district accountability committee, the superintendent, and our board member. Okay, and two other things that we discussed in June are other ways that we can support schools virtually. So hopefully in the next month or two, we'll have more to say about that. We're not quite ready to talk about it right now. And using an ongoing effort called the Orange Bag Project that a different one of our board members who's not present tonight is part of organizing. And that's another way to directly get material needs to schools. And we're not going to meet in July. Are there any questions? Do I see the chat? I can look on my computer.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't see it. Okay. That's it for me. Thanks. And please, even if you're not, yeah, sorry. I could have run around the table myself. Even if you're not on your school accountability committee, we would welcome your participation. Other goals of the committee that I didn't talk about are just efforts to help lifelong learners. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a focus on school-age children. Just the concept of learning is another thing that members of the committee are interested in. Okay. And I'm just going to pass you all over to Brad, who's right next to me, and he's going to talk about the transportation. I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Brad Rivera, co-chair of the Safe Streets Committee. We did not meet this month, and instead have encouraged people to attend and ride their bikes tomorrow for the summer bike to work day. And even if you're not bike riding, obviously be mindful of people who are riding their bike. But we will have a pop-up tent at Founders Green tomorrow morning. And then I'm also going to be leading a small group of people that are interested in biking to work to downtown and showing you a route that I call high comfort that takes people to downtown that people of all abilities can take. So hopefully we see you all out there, even if you're not biking to work, but you're just biking through the neighborhood. There should be some great tents, including one from CPUN's at Founders Green that you should be able to get some great swag at. So we hope to see you guys out there tomorrow.
I'm gonna piggyback really fast. So speaking of ways that you can see us in person, you can see Brad and other CPUN volunteers at Bike to Work Day tomorrow morning, and you can see me at the MCA's Encanto this Friday evening. We'll have a tent up there. So hope to see you all in person.
Any other committees want to provide an update?
I don't have an update.
Okay. Sorry for the sort of spinning computer. This is not this is not the typical format, but we'll get those kinks ironed out for next time. All right, why don't we move on then to our community updates, and we will start with Lieutenant Kevin Hines from the Denver Police Department.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Can you see me okay? I'm trying to get my...
Yep. We see it fine, yeah.
Okay. Oh, there we go. I've got my screen back now. Had it hidden under here. My other computer had a hard drive failure, so I'm working off a small laptop. I don't have as much room to do everything today. So, well, anyway, as Jeff said, I'm Kevin Hines. I'm the lieutenant for the Central Park neighborhood in District 5 of the Denver Police Department. Just to give some updates on things that are going on, I just want to piggyback on what everybody else was saying about Bike to Work Day tomorrow. A couple of our officers will also be out there at Founders Green tomorrow morning. Depending on how our workflow and staffing's going, we may be out there on bikes, or we may have to cheat and show up in cars, but we'll be out there with some information on how to keep your bike safe and things of that nature. Just to let you know some things that are going on in the community. I've had a lot of questions lately about some unfortunate violent crime incidents we've had take place in the Central Park community. And as I'm sure you'll understand, I can't give a lot of real detailed information on ongoing cases, just to make sure we don't jeopardize those investigations. But just to give a few updates on some of the cases that I can. Many of you have asked me about the shooting that took place in the parking lot of the Central Park Rec Center that then turned into a car chase through the neighborhood with more shots fired and somebody being carjacked. So that incident, what I can say about it was it appears that the parties involved, the primary aggressors there, were in the process of trying to steal somebody's car. Turned out the person whose car was being stolen was kind of unsavory themselves, and they ended up shooting at the person who was trying to steal the car. This ended up in a little bit of a, I guess you could say, a gun battle as they went through the neighborhood. We have identified and arrested multiple people in relation to that incident, so I wouldn't expect any further harm to the community to come from them, assuming everything goes through properly in the courts. One of the other incidents I've been asked about recently was a shooting that took place in the Bass Pro Shops parking lot about a week ago. That incident involved, well, we're still sorting out exactly the relationship between the parties, but it appears that they weren't necessarily totally unrelated to each other based on a statement that was made by the victim. But these individuals had a disagreement in the parking lot. One individual shot the other individual, who sustained non-life-threatening wounds. It just so happened that that person had been in Bass Pro Shops shortly beforehand, and we were able to identify that individual. He was involved in a police chase with the Denver Police Department later that day, and was apprehended at that time. So that case has also been cleared. Another case I've been asked about was from a few weeks ago when some individuals were seen in Northfield High School with what was believed to be a rifle. It turned out these were 3 kids. I think it was 3 ultimately. They were debating how many were involved. But some kids who were students there and thought they'd play a prank with each other with a splatter ball gun and chase each other around the school. So as it turned out, there was no actual physical threat to the school. We did identify and charge the responsible individuals with disrupting school operations, and the DA's office is looking into charges on that. Other crime trends we're seeing, we continue to see some catalytic converter thefts taking place. Again, that's a nationwide issue, not just related to this neighborhood, but we have seen some cases in the last week with catalytic converter thefts. We're also seeing the seasonal uptick in burglaries that we tend to see as people are leaving their garages open more often. So please be aware of that and make sure you're keeping your garage doors shut unless you're standing in your garage, because it doesn't take a criminal more than a few seconds to walk into your garage and steal your bike. So That's kind of an update on most of the crime trends that we have seen. I do want to emphasize that some of these violent crime incidents, although we've had an unfortunate rise in those kind of coincidentally happening one after another, none of those incidents seem to have any relation to each other or to any ongoing crime pattern in the neighborhood. It just so happens that we've had a few of those incidents happen recently. But we've had a pretty good case clearance rate on actually identifying the people who were involved and charging them for those crimes. I'm also joined on this call tonight by Danae Ferenz, who's our community resource officer. I wanted to throw it over to her real quick to see if there's anything she wanted to add about any upcoming events or anything like that. And then certainly happy to take questions that any of you might have for us.
I do. So good evening, everybody. Denver Police Department is doing we are calling it, sorry, I'm pulling up the flyer and I'm getting ready to send it out to everybody this week and post it on social media. It's called the Blue and You Block Party. It's going to be at the Denver Police Academy, which is located at 2155 North Akron Way. So over there's Central Park in Montview. There's going to be, and I'm sorry, it's going to be July 9th at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're going to have free food, drinks. They're going to be handing out stickers for your catalytic converter to put on, and some sort of registration process for that. Free bicycle tune-ups, free haircuts, free face painting, bouncy houses, yard games. It's going to be dog friendly. We'll have mounted patrol out there, our K9, Air One, and it's going to be a lot of fun for families. So that'd be a great day to come out, say hi to us, and have fun with the family. And again, that's July 9th, 10 to 3. And I am getting ready to send out this flyer this week to everybody. And that is all I have right now.
Thanks, Officer Friends. Thanks, Lieutenant Hines. Lieutenant Hines, just going back to the gun violence, this is a big concern in the neighborhood. And I wonder if you could speak to a couple things. One would be, while we've had this unfortunate cluster of events, is the rate of gun violence or violent crime in Central Park either growing or greater than Denver at large? And then I think the second question would be, what are the best avenues for advocating for residents who want to advocate for more resources to perhaps proactively combat or mitigate the chances of things like this happening?
So your question regarding how it compares to other neighborhoods is a little complicated because it depends on what metrics we measure by and what neighborhoods we're looking at. Overall, though, to give you an idea, looking at precinct 511, which is the north end of the Central Park neighborhood, we've had 8 total incidents that were classified as aggravated assault firearm. In the last 28 days, and for the year, we've had 18 total incidents. Now, what I want to say with that number is that instances of felony menacing, where say somebody points a gun at somebody on the highway in a road rage, which is a kind of call we get fairly routinely, unfortunately, that would count as an aggravated assault firearm. So it's not always cases where somebody's actually physically been shot. We've only had 1 homicide in precinct 511 for the year, 18 aggravated assault firearms. 8 of those were in the last 28 days, and most of them were related to the cases I just mentioned. So a big bunch of the ones we had were just out of those incidents right there. If we scroll down and take a look at, sorry, again, I'm working from a small screen here, but I want to pull up the statistics to give you an idea. Aggravated assault firearms cases in precinct 512. We've had 23 cases year to date, which is up from our 3-year average. But again, 8 of those cases in the prior 28 days were related to mostly that deal down at the Central Park Rec Center. So, by comparison, I'm going to pull up just a precinct I used to work in District 2, just because I can probably get to that one pretty easily here. And you know, and this is just for a easy, quick comparison. Sorry, stand by with me just a moment because I'm trying to read tiny font on here. But by comparison, that precinct had 52 aggravated assault firearms, and the other precinct I worked over there had 58. So again, you know, compared to a lot of neighborhoods in Denver, it's not high. With that said, any number above 0 we'd like to get away from. So to your other question about things you can do to advocate for it, I think the community has done a good job of advocating for additional resources. Councilman Herndon's office works with us on a lot of these issues too. I think you guys have a great voice in the community. To give you an idea of what we're doing, we just acquired 6 more officers in District 5 this week. So those officers were on their 2nd day today. Yesterday was kind of their orientation day. They graduated the academy on Friday, and we got 6 of them. So we got more than our fair share of officers. Our division chief recognizes that we need more resources out here because the community has grown, if nothing else. It's a lot more populous. So we are getting more officers out here. We're using resources we have in the city, like the FAST team. That stands for Firearm Assault Shoot Team. That is something Chief Payson put together a couple of years ago, where we brought in some of our most experienced detectives dealing with violent crime, some of our guys who came from homicide and things like that. And that team will come out and investigate when we have non-fatal shootings. And they investigate them to the same degree we would do, say, a homicide investigation. So essentially what we've done there is prioritize investigations where even people weren't killed, but the same kind of mechanics of crime were involved, because whether or not somebody dies is sort of immaterial to the intent of the person who does the shooting. So we want to make sure that those cases are getting thorough and complete investigations. So our FAST team was involved in investigating the case out at Bass Pro Shops. They were also involved in the Central Park Rec Center case and these other kind of instances where somebody was, you know, hit with a bullet. So we are using those resources to try to get violent crime under control. Like I said, certainly any uptick in these crimes is concerning, but compared to many of the precincts in the city, it's not high. I mean, generally, I would say that the Central Park neighborhood has a low violent crime rate. It's not 0, and until it's 0, we'll keep trying to make it better. And 0 is probably obviously unachievable, but that's, I hope that answers your question. Did I miss anything you had asked there? Just trying to cover it all as best I could.
No, I think if you're open to it, Lieutenant Hines, maybe we could collaborate on a report for we're off in July, but at our August meeting where we maybe should present some of those trend lines or some of those relative statistics to the city at large and to other neighborhoods. Is that something that we might be able to work on together?
Yeah, that's something I can talk with my crime analyst about and see what he can put together for us. But yeah, why don't we, we can talk about what you're looking to see, and we'll see what we can do to put something together that can kind of answer those questions for the community.
That'd be great. Thank you. We do have a couple of questions. Sarah, I saw your hand up first if you want to ask yours.
Hi, sorry, I have my camera off because I'm walking my dog, and I figure you guys don't want to see me bouncing around my neighborhood. So, so this is for. Oh, I can, once I get to the house, I can definitely show you him. So you might have already answered this, but I just want to clarify. So I know you said there's been an uptick in catalytic converter theft, and on my property, so I represent Bluff Lake Apartments on the corner of 31st and Havana. We've had a recent uptick in auto theft. So I was just wondering if those have made it to your report, and 2, if those 6 cadets that you guys have just recruited, if they will also contribute to like extra patrols at night or anything like that in the Bluff Lake, more in the Bluff Lake region.
Yeah, absolutely. So auto thefts are definitely a problem we've been having. We've talked a lot about that at these meetings in the last year. So again, that's something we've seen a rise in throughout the metro area, not just in the Central Park neighborhood, but it's a big problem we're dealing with in Colorado. And unfortunately, as many of you may have seen in the news, we have we won the unfortunate award this year that Colorado has the highest per capita auto theft rate in the nation right now, which is not something we're really proud of, and we're trying to fix. Regarding those new recruits that we got out there, so our process, once they graduate the academy, they'll be assigned to one of our district's corporals for a few months, where they'll be out on patrol, but they'll be working sort of like a partner car with a senior and experienced officer who can bridge the gap between what happens on the street versus what we go through in training and get them up to speed on the street. Regarding Bluff Lake Apartments, that's certainly an area we're familiar with, and where we do patrols. We always try to drive our patrol resources at least somewhat based on the crime data we're seeing. So when we see an uptick in auto thefts in an area, obviously we recognize that that probably means an auto thief is working in the area. So we try to concentrate resources out there. So beyond just the officers we have assigned to patrol details that are answering 911 calls and things of that nature, we also have an impact team in District 5 that we use specifically to deal with problem areas. So they don't go out and take 911 calls. They go out and try to address problem areas like an uptick of auto thefts in the in a particular community or things of that nature. And we also use our narcotics detectives for that kind of purpose in a lot of cases. Those folks are basically our undercover assets, so they can go out there and not stand out for people and kind of get eyes on thieves and catch them that way. So to answer your question, yes, we are doing those things. And certainly if you start to see any alarming uptick on things like that, that you're concerned about, feel free to reach out to us anytime about those. And I would encourage you, if you haven't done so yet, Sarah, please get with Danae and get on our neighborhood watch list as well. Because that's a way that we can share information back and forth between our department and members of the community who want to be involved.
Super. I know the property manager has been trying to be in contact with Officer Danae. But I'll mention the neighborhood watch list. I didn't realize that we were allowed to be on that. So that's a wonderful idea that I'll share with her tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Super. Well, thank you.
Jamie, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah. So similarly, in front of my house, sort of on the corner of Central Park Boulevard and Northfield, my mother-in-law's car was actually, her lock was jimmied, so it was locked, but it was broken into. Is that also sort of commonplace?
Yeah, so more often than not, it seems like we have people breaking into vehicles either by just trying door handles and finding unlocked cars, or throwing a rock through the window. But we do get people using screwdrivers on door locks and things of that nature. So theft from motor vehicle cases often track along with auto theft cases pretty closely. The same kind of criminals seem to engage in both types of behavior a lot of times. One thing I saw recently in a surveillance camera footage that somebody sent me was a person was actually driving down the street at night and wasn't even getting out of his car. He had the window rolled down and he was just reaching out, trying door handles, just driving close to cars and trying one after another. So I can't emphasize enough that, make sure you become OCD about it. Lock your car again, check it again, because they're just waiting for that one time you were carrying in groceries and forgot to lock your car. And it's a lot easier for somebody to just grab the door handle, get in and grab your stuff instead of actually breaking the window and maybe setting off an alarm or drawing attention and things of that nature. So the other thing that obviously goes along with that is make sure you don't leave anything of value in your car or things that could be mistaken as things of value. I've taken a number of reports over the years where somebody's had their window broken out so somebody could grab their diaper bag. and all they found was $5 worth of diapers, some diaper wipes, and a change of clothes or something. But to them it looked like it might be a backpack that had a laptop in it or things like that. So kind of think about it from a perspective of what a criminal might perceive something in your car to be, because even if they might not get something of value, it'll save you replacing a $400 window or something of that nature.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, the car was broken into. It was all a mess, but nothing was taken. They actually jimmied the lock and broke it, so she's got to get it fixed.
Yeah, and we certainly see some of those. I wouldn't say it's our most common way that people break into cars, but it's certainly something we've seen, and that's one of the more annoying ones because that does a lot of damage. Lock mechanism, windows, all that stuff it gets expensive. So I'm sorry to hear that that happened.
And then just to sort of follow up on what Jeff asked, maybe in the August meeting we could talk more about, because last time you had mentioned people stealing guns from cars the same way. So maybe safe gun storage, maybe something like that would be really helpful to talk about too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to put that on the list. It's something we're really trying to push out here, which is trying to avoid these kind of crimes, because the last thing we need is more criminals getting guns because they stole them out of cars of law-abiding people. So
Thanks, Jamie, and thanks, Lieutenant Hines. Appreciate your time this evening. I'm conscious of time here and need to pull a couple of audibles. I want to apologize to our standing community partners because I'm going to skip ahead to our special guest, Julian Wolf, and then move on to Calvin Knudsen from the Office of the Clerk and Recorder, and then we'll circle back to our regular community partners. But I know that they both have some time constraints here. So Brian, if you don't mind just scooting ahead to the slide for Julian, that would be great. And Julian's going to, again, is from Denver Animal Protection. Thanks. Hey, Julian, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you. And I appreciate it. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, I have a prior engagement that I have to be at 8. So very, very, very much appreciate you allowing me time to speak now. So my name is Julian Wolf. I am the community engagement manager for Denver Animal Protection. And really, I wear a lot of hats at Denver Department of Public Health and the Environment. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we're working in the community, who we are, and give you all a couple of summer reminders, and then also hopefully answer some questions. We all have that neighbor who's walking by and lets their dog poop on our lawn, or there's dogs off leash, or there's dogs in hot cars, and I'll do my best to get to that. But first, I just wanted to introduce a little bit who we are and what we are. So we're Denver Animal Protection. We're a division of the Department of Public Health and the Environment. We are your municipal animal shelter for the city and county of Denver. Our work is basically everywhere in Denver where you see animals. We're the folks that are driving the vehicles around, responding to responding to calls. Dogs hit by car. It's not uncommon for us to see an officer, rushing through the shelter to triage an animal the best we can after, saving them from a really dangerous situation. But we also offer a lot of incredible services to the city and county of Denver. That's everything from adoptions. You need an animal, we got you. Come on in. And right now across the nation, we're seeing high populations in shelters. We are all struggling across the board, and how you can help is adding members of your family. And now technically animals aren't traditional members of your family. Many of us feel that way though. So now is a great time to add a dog or a cat or a rabbit or a guinea pig, because we are filled, and we really, really, really would appreciate anybody who's looking to come and adopt from us. We're located on South Platte River. You guys are my boss. That facility belongs to you. If you are ever bored and need something to do, come walk through the animal shelter. Come check it out. You want to show your kids, change it up a little bit, bring them down. I mean, our animal shelter it belongs to all of us. A lot of people oftentimes are like, oh, it's so sad. I just can't. It's a place of hope. Those animals found their way to us. we are going to place them responsibly into new homes. They're not running around out in traffic. They're not being owned by someone who can't care for them because, they surrendered them to us. They did the right thing. And that's why we exist, right? We also have low-cost vaccine clinics every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. First come, first serve. But it's $15 a pop. It's really awesome. Also, huge shout out to District 8. I think I see one of my favorite city council aides on this call. And, one of the really awesome things is there's now a legal path to owning a in County of Denver. Huge thanks to District 8 for their thoughtful and really important policies and work on that. We're hugely grateful to them. But now you can own a pit bull in the city County of Denver. You can come into the shelter. If you have a dog that you think might be a pit bull and you're worried, are they legal or not? Well, we give you evaluations. If they pass their evaluation as a pit bull, there's a breed permit you can get. Boom, legal pit bull in the city and county of Denver. It's pretty incredible. If for any reason there's 3 of us evaluators, if one of the evaluators doesn't feel it meets one of the banned breeds, then your dog isn't a banned breed and you get paperwork proving it. So either way, it's good for you. If you have any questions about that, we actually do walk-ins Monday through Friday, I believe, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. You can just bring your pity in or your mix or your Denver lab, whatever we're calling them these days. And, we can get you situated. Now, there is a cost involved in licensing your pet, permitting your pet, and evaluating your pet. But we're always you can see all those prices on our website at www.denveranimalshelter.gov .org. On to some real important reminders here. Okay. Do not let your dogs, cats, whatever you're out walking, drink standing water. We see a lot of cyanobacteria. A lot of people call it blue algae. It is toxic and truly toxic. And what I mean by that is a toxin. There is no antidote for this. This isn't a poison where we can give you an antidote. It's a toxin and it's fatal oftentimes in animals. So do not let your animals drink standing water. That includes in the shallows of some of the lakes and ponds around the city and county of Denver. If you let your dog off leash, go traipse through because it's a hot day, not a good idea, honestly. If it is shallow standing water, it can be really, really dangerous. So keep your eye out for that. And if you see the blue algae bloom, keep your animals away from that. Oftentimes Parks and Rec will have signs posted, but even if there aren't signs posted, be very, very cautious. Second thing, don't leave your dogs in hot cars. Oh my gosh. That's how that is extremely dangerous, especially right now with it getting as hot as it was, this last week. I mean, we were kind of got lucky with the cool rain and the extra spring, unless you're a gardener, and that 5 inches of snow was annoying as all heck. But when it comes to dogs in hot cars, keep your windows cracked. Make sure that they're available to water. But honestly, just don't leave your dog in your car when you go run in right now, especially if they're in sunlight. Now, there are people that oftentimes will see a dog in a hot car and they want to do something about it. Well, you can call the direct line. We are dispatched by 911. You are allowed in some cases to break in if you see a dog in distress, but it's really, really important that you hear a couple of things first before you go just break in somebody's window, because you are liable if that animal wasn't in distress. If that dog is up in that window, barking, that dog's probably not in distress, right? That dog is full on fine. Now, if that dog is down at the bottom of the car, is unresponsive, is finding the coldest, darkest place to get out of the heat, that is a dog likely in distress. Not the dogs up at the top of the car barking, but those dogs that are non-responsive, that are down in the coolest parts of the car, that's when we really want to be worried. Always recommend trying to find an owner, go into the nearest shops, alert them that there is a dog in the car. You can also call, like I said, but ultimately, if you do, there's no other options and you feel like the only way to save this animal is to break into that car, there are some protections for you, but you need to report it first and you need to make sure that dog is in distress. So again, low-cost vaccines, you get the city license, all kinds of stuff going on for you. Right now is a great time also to volunteer with us. even if it's just fostering, let's say you're not sure if you want a dog or another dog. There's so many animals in the shelter right now that we are onboarding foster volunteers left and right. It's a great way for you to test out to see if you're able to take on an animal, or if you are a weathered dog owner, especially with dogs with some behavioral issues, you have experience with that. We would love to hear from you. Please don't hesitate to visit us at www.denveranimalshelter.org to see how you can help. So that's sort of the spiel. I just kind of blew a bunch of stuff at you guys, but why don't if you have any questions, if you need me to repeat anything or segue into enforcement related issues, happy to do so. Couple of disclaimers. I am not one of the officers. If I can't answer your question, I'm going to leave my email in the chat. Please feel free to email me, and I'll do my best to connect you to the right person. I was just at an RNO the other day, and they emailed me, and I connected them to our lieutenant. Whew. Thoughts, questions? What you guys got for me?
Julian, first, let me apologize for spelling your name incorrectly on the slide here. If you take one look at my name, you know that I can feel your pain.
You know what? I don't even, at least you call me Julian. For whatever reason, people call me Justin all the time. So I appreciate it.
No problem. Any questions for Julian?
Nothing. Oh, okay. Wow, that's a first. Barking dogs.
There's one question about what animal is making that sound.
If there's a weird sound going on, it's probably my dying computer.
Okay.
So yeah. Honestly, there's that. So since there's no questions, I'm gonna leave you guys with one last thing. And if you think of any questions, please feel free. But we have a community. Denver is a community. There are constantly issues with animals, right? You've got your neighbor whose dog is barking. You've got your neighbor whose dog's peeing on your lawn and leaving brown spots. So many times, so many issues can be reconciled early in a process by simply talking to each other. I know that it can be scary. I know that sometimes you're worried about what your neighbor might think. You want to remain anonymous through a process as long as you can. I get it. It's nerve-wracking having to go talk to a neighbor. Maybe you're scared of them. I don't know. But I will say, as far as a lot of the processes involved with making complaints about neighbors or barking dogs or these, it starts with an anonymous complaint, but then it moves into, hey, you need to log this. We will let them know where this issue is coming from. And at the end, before we move to any fines, we're going to get you into a room together and we're going to have you talk. So a lot of it can be by just continuing to grow as a community, continuing to approach each other, taking that first step. So many times people don't realize that their dogs are barking when they're away from home, or they don't know what times it is happening. It can be really helpful to work together in finding ways and solutions to problems before we take it to that level of I'm going to get my neighbor, evicted or fined or whatever. Eventually, we're going to ask you to speak together before we get to that point anyways. And so many of that, they may appreciate it. So remember, continue to grow your community. Don't be afraid of each other, especially with regards to animals. It's something that we all can connect on a passion. I can't tell you how many times I've been yelled at to get off their lawn. And then I say, hey, I'm just here offering free resources for your pets. And they're like, come on in, have a drink. So I don't drink on the job. That was tea. But other than that, I appreciate everybody. If you do have any follow-up questions, I'm going to leave my email in the chat here. And never hesitate to reach out. Really appreciate y'all. You got a great neighborhood. And thanks for having me.
Thanks, Julian. I think building community and talking to your neighbors is a good mindset for all kinds of things. So thank you for that. We'll quickly move on to Calvin Knutson here from the Office of the Clerk and Recorder. It is primary season. Why don't you take it away, Calvin?
Thank you so much, Jeff. I do have to say, my 33 years of life, all of a sudden everyone is pronouncing my last name correctly, and I have no idea why. It's like the clouds parted and someone said, bam, it's time to finally get that K in there. So thanks for that. Hi, all. I'm Calvin Knutson. I'm with the Office of the Denver Clerk and Recorder in a civic engagement team, teeny tiny team over there. We are We are new-ish, and pandemic years are brand spanking new. We're kind of trying to restart after all of the distancing we've had to do. We are here and out and about in different meetings, different events and such as a way to be a bridge, to be the face, to be the body of the clerk and the recorder's office. Of course, 99% of what we do is elections. And the 1% is not the most exciting stuff, but we still want to offer and be a connection to those services, foreclosures, recording historical documents, marriage licenses, and stuff like that. But as Jeff said, it is election season, it is primary season. So as many times as I can in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to remind you to grab the ballot off of your desk, off the kitchen counter, off the kitchen table, out of the mailbox and fill it out. It is primaries. It's not going to take you more than 5 minutes because there's not that many options regardless of which ballot you get. So fill those out. The quicker we get those in, it helps us tabulate. It helps us helps further our accuracy. And if there are any errors that we need to reach out to you for, it gives us that cushion of time to do so, because we want to make sure that every single vote counts. Even if we have to call you 1,000 times, even if we have to knock on your door and ask you to sign one last thing, we want to make sure that every ballot is counted. Beyond election season, we are building this team, a team of 4, manager and 3 of us, to again be the body, but also there's a lot of knowledge in their clerk's office. There's a lot of knowledge, not only about elections, but about the electoral process and about how to participate in the electoral process. With all of the disinformation and confusion and head scratching going on in certain parts of the country, we want to make sure that every single person has a direct connection to the elections office. So I am your direct connection here in District 8, as well as District 9 and 11. So if you all ever have any questions whatsoever, you can always shoot me an email, a phone call, or even a text message. And I'll drop my information in the chat, of course. We do a lot of voter registration. So if you all ever have an event coming up as a group or a group you are a part of, you can always reach out if you want someone or a couple people there to table, to give out swag, to get folks registered to vote, to check their registration, stuff like that. We are very nonpartisan. We walk a very razor thin line of nonpartisanship. So the best way I can explain that is, if you see me in the community and you say, Calvin, I got my ballot, but it's really long. Can you help? Who the heck am I supposed to vote for here? I'm going to give you a Hallmark smile and say, I can't answer that for you, but I can point you to Google. So we are very strict on that, because we want to make sure, as folks who run the election and participate in elections, we're not pushing or pulling, even unintentionally, even accidentally, by the words that we are choosing or not choosing. I had a person come up Sunday at Juneteenth, and ask about just the different types of parties on the voter registration form. And I didn't want to answer that, because I could be describing one of those parties in a certain way. And maybe it's just because I lack knowledge of that party, but it may deter someone from either choosing that party or doing their own research. Beyond voter registration, we are building a menu of programming, is what we're calling it. And so, like I said before, we have a wealth of knowledge in the clerk's office. Maybe you want to learn how to become your own voter registration drive. We can connect you and help build that for you. Maybe you've got some youth who want to learn how to register their neighbors to vote. We can absolutely sit down for 30 minutes and kind of talk about that voter registration form, specific questions or little tricky things. One of my favorite facts coming into this role, coming from Arizona and being a social worker for the last 5 years, so this is all very new to me, is that felons can vote. Folks who have a felony in this state can vote. I had a wonderful experience on Sunday where someone walked up to our booth and saw a sort of fact list about felony voting, and they almost started crying because they have not been able to register to vote for 20 years. They come from Texas, and so they asked about it, and I confirmed the stipulations, which is you just have to serve the time, unfortunately, but once you are released and off paper or not on parole, you can register to vote. So we got to register this person to vote for the first time in 20 years, and so we're trying to push out that knowledge as best as possible. Other examples for our programming can be, maybe you want to learn how, or you in a group, or you in this community here with Central Park United Neighbors want to learn how to put a ballot initiative on the ballot. We would absolutely love to come out and teach you how to do that, or to learn more about campaign finance. We've got experts in that as well. So if y'all have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to me again. I'll drop my info in the box. You'll see me hopefully poking around different events, popping in and out of these meetings as best I can. There's a lot of RNOs in my regions, and so I can't come every month, but I will do my best to kind of just be a familiar face. And again, please, I know it's taxing, but fill out your ballot and drop it in the box. Double check where your drop boxes are. Double check where your voter centers are in case you want to vote in person or you want to do some last minute updates or there's an issue with your ballot. Because as a primary, historically, we have lower turnout, so we don't activate all of the 41 voter centers that we do in a normal election like you will see in November. So double check on denvervotes.org. All the information is out there. If for whatever reason you can't find it, again, shoot me an email, text, phone call, and I'll help you work that out. I'm here for questions. If not, it was really nice to spend some time with y'all.
Thanks, Calvin, and thank you for joining us. Any questions for Calvin? All right, I think we're good. Okay, so we'll go back to our regular community partners. I apologize to each of you. We are getting close to time. There's no way we don't go over, and that's understandable. But if you could be particularly brief with your comments this month, it would be appreciated. So we'll start with Amanda Schultz from Councilman Herndon's office. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, thanks for your patience with me. I'm unmuting while I'm starting my video. I will keep it very brief. Thanks for always having us. Just one quick announcement is our family bike parade is coming up. It is August, so keep that in mind. It's the 13th. We're going to be riding from the Green at 29th and Roslyn over to the Smiley campus where McAuliffe is located. Join us a little bit before 9 o'clock. We'll kick off, head over to the Smiley campus, and then until about 11:30, we'll have a ton of games and activities and food, all kinds of stuff for kids and grown-ups. So we'd love to have anybody out there. You don't have to go to McAuliffe to join us. We'd love to have you. Bring your helmets and your friends.
Thanks, Amanda. Any questions for Amanda? If not, we'll move on to Northeast Transportation Connections. I don't see Eric. Is anyone from NETC here? No? Another plug for Bike to Work Day tomorrow. Bright and early tomorrow morning, Brad and others will be out at the 29th Street Center. So be sure to hop on your bike if you can. We'll move on to Mercy Housing. Sarah, do you want to go next?
Sure. So, sorry, I'm sitting in my parents' living room, so the dogs keep coming at me, but they're funny. So yes, I'm with Bluff Lake Apartments at Mercy Housing, and I just wanted to extend, as always, a huge thank you. I haven't been to the meetings for a couple months, so this is my first one in 3 months, because I missed last month and the month prior. And donations are still coming in from that Amazon list, so you guys are wonderful. Whenever they have a slip in it that says the person's name, I always send it over to the corporate office for a thank you note, and occasionally we get anonymous ones. So if any of the anonymous donors are on the call, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been lovely. The food bank has been very well stocked, which is wonderful. Lots of cleaning supplies and feminine hygiene. The brooms were a super big hit. Yeah, so I just wanted to say just a huge thank you, since I've been away for a couple months and haven't been able to say so. And then I also wanted to let you guys know that I'm leaving Mercy Housing in 2 weeks. And so when my replacement is found, they'll be connected with the organization and attend the meetings as well. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you for the past year and all of your support.
Oh, well, best of luck to you, Sarah, with whatever's ahead. Thank you for your support of our organization, for always attending these meetings. It's been great having you. You can point, who should I contact at Mercy about connecting with your replacement?
Probably I'd stay in contact with Ellen Abrams.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been on the meeting a couple months back. She was on it, Aaron and Ellen. But I would use Ellen.
Yeah, I know Ellen. Yeah.
Yeah. I would use her as your point of contact.
Okay.
Because once my replacement is found, they'll be introduced, and then she'll fill in the new person about the program and in these meetings every month.
Great. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Library, Sam Gary Branch. Hey, John.
Yes, hello.
Oh, wait.
Hi, my name is Thane. I'm a librarian at the Sam Gary Branch right here in Central Park. John Flanagan usually attends these meetings, but I'm filling in for him today. So real quick, I just wanted to mention the big news at the library is that we are open on Mondays now. This is the first time we've been open on Mondays since the pandemic. So we've added Mondays 10 to 6, Monday through Friday. We are open Saturdays 10 to 5. And the other big thing we're doing right now is a summer reading program, which we call Summer of Adventure, which is for ages birth through 18. So if you have any young people in your lives, bring them by the library, get them signed up for the Summer Adventure program. And we have lots of activities going on this summer as well. Since COVID, we've kind of been toning things down a lot as far as programs go, but we are jumping back into them big time for the summer. So come by and see what we have going on this summer. One thing I will mention is we are doing an interactive escape room that the teen group at the library is running. It's Narnia themed. It's a family escape room. Somebody on your team has to be able to read. Other than that, it's an all ages escape room that we're encouraging families to sign up for. So you can find out about it on our website, denverlibrary.org, or come by the library and we'll tell you all about it. Thanks.
Thanks again. I didn't catch your name. I'm sorry. I thought I was expecting John.
Oh, no worries. My name is Thane. I'm also a librarian. I work with John at the Central Park branch.
Nice to meet you, Thane. Thank you for joining us. All right. Any questions for the library? If not, we'll go on to the MCA. Diane, do you want to come over here? You can sit at Command Central here.
Come over here. Sit down for a second. All right, just real quickly, we've got Thursday night on the North Green, Hazel Miller. Friday on the South Green, we have Encanto. And Sunday, we've got our Farmers Market on the South Green. Beer Fest tickets have gone on sale. Kids Try spots have gone on. Registration is now open. And then 4th of July reservations will open tomorrow at noon. So if you're wanting a reservation at the pools for the 4th of July, we have 2 sessions at each pool and you may sign up for one of them. Just real quickly, mobile election trailer. We do have the mobile election trailer at the plaza, which is just across from Conservatory Green, kind of by Torchy's Tacos over off of Valencia and 49th. And the mobile election trailer will be there on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. So if you want to just drop by there and vote, you can do it at that location. So any questions? I think that's all we've got. Just real quick.
Thanks, Diane.
You bet.
Well, how about that? We're only 1 minute over. Thank you to our community partners for being so short here. Okay, so we'll just move on to a public comment period, and then for the board members, we'll roll right into the board meeting. Anyone that's interested is, of course, welcome to stay. Any public comment? We have 5 minutes. If not, all right. Let's go into our board meeting.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, Sarah. Best of luck.
Thank you.
So for the board, this is going to be a little tricky. Normally, the intention was to have a microphone in the center of the table so that you could hear everybody, no matter where they were seated. So, Brian's farthest from me. If you can't hear him, and he wants to say something, we'll just kind of have to pass the computer around, do that kind of thing. But we're working with Jen here at the MCA to get that ironed out. I point to, she's not actually here. She was over there working away when we were trying to solve this problem, but in the future, that shouldn't be an issue. So why don't we go through the committee updates. I think for communication and outreach, and Mark, you can add to this. I think the big thing is I sent around that email a few weeks ago about signing up for events if your summer schedules allow. Obviously, everybody is on vacation. I just got back from one myself, and it's a difficult time of year, but those events are there. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to get back out in the community. If you have any, if you're going to do Encanto on Friday, so we can arrange for you to come pick up the stuff or however you want to do it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I've got the stuff in my garage. Mark, you have the little collateral pieces though, right? I don't
do.
have it. Okay.
Okay, I can try to drop some off to you or find a way to bring them to you so that everything's in one place.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying about like? Oh yeah. You'll be there with?
Yeah, I won't be there to start necessarily.
Yeah.
6 a.m.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, we'll need to get some. Yeah. So.
I can fix that. Friday.
I don't think it isn't Thursday. I didn't look, but just Friday.
I don't think. What are we talking about? Oh, the collateral piece. But do you have some handy? You don't have any now. Only Mark's got them, right?
Right, but if Mark were to give them to me, they could live in my office and I can have the people that go to them.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's great. We do have the problem of tomorrow's bike day, though. How do we get some of these? Is anyone who's?
Mandel is on the call.
Oh yeah, Mandel. That's right. Mandel, are you there?
I am here. What do you need?
Yeah, sorry for the audio. We're trying to have someone that's going to be at the bike to work day thing pick up the collateral pieces from Mark's place so that we have some of those on site tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I can bring them by later. I don't think we're very far apart from each other.
Yeah, I can meet up with you however you want to do it. Let's just connect. I can probably come to where you are. Or you can come to meet up with me, but we definitely have to do it tonight because it's at the crack of dawn.
Okay, I'll let you sort that out. Yeah.
You want to meet at the eye on the horizon? That's like a good midpoint, right?
I don't know what the eye on the horizon is. Oh, is that
okay? So just north of the Westerly Creek School is a thing that looks like a fish to some people, but it's supposed to it's called eye on the horizon.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know where that is.
Yeah,
we can meet up. So we'll do that this evening right after the meeting.
Yeah, I'll head over there as soon as this is over.
Okay.
Thank you both for doing that, and thank you to Mandel and Brad and Carol.
Everything is that like table?
No, they have the table. They're just asking for help to man the tables, and so we've just got to have a CPUN thing.
Okay. So I still need to get.
You need to get this stuff from my house.
I can get that from you after this meeting.
Yeah, if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Well, I'm glad I said something about this. DEI committee. Oh, sorry, Mark, did you want to add anything to that outreach committee?
Nope, you got it covered. That's good.
DEI, Shalice? Shalice, or is there another member of the committee that wants to provide an update if there is one?
Okay, sorry, I couldn't get to mute fast enough.
That's all right.
At this time, we do not have any updates.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Education, anything beyond what you already shared?
No, but I'll go ahead and ask to everyone who's on the call presently, are any of the people on this call serving on their school accountability committee?
No.
I don't see any hands going up, any thumbs up. All right. Oh, okay. I'll keep looking.
Keep looking. Health and safety?
Yes.
Yes,
Health
Jack.
and safety, but I talk loud. I have a loud voice. I am a park ranger. I talk loudly. We are very quickly approaching that time of year known as the 4th of July, when people like to light things on fire with these magical things called fireworks. Remember, fireworks are illegal in the city and county of Denver. Oh, so I don't have to be as loud. Fireworks are illegal in the city and county of Denver, but fireworks also sound a whole lot like a gunshot. And so what we're going to happen, because this happens every year, is everybody starts calling the police. Oh my gosh, somebody's shooting up my neighborhood. No, they're just gunshots. They're not gunshots. They're just fireworks. So what is the difference between a firework and a gunshot? I'm glad you asked that question because I came prepared with an answer. I just forgot where I saved it on my computer. So I am going to make it up. Gunshots tend to actually be louder than fireworks, and they tend to be a single, more hollow boom, whereas a firework tends to have a crackle on the end of it. Why do I say this? Because there are two different phone numbers you want to call. If you are reporting a firework, you want to call the firework reporting phone number, which I will get and distribute because I don't have it in front of me. If it's a gunshot that you are hearing, you want to call 911. I'm not talking about posting it on Facebook. I'm not talking about tweeting it to the world or texting a tip. I'm calling about dialing the numbers 911 and saying, oh my gosh, somebody is shooting in my neighborhood. What do the police want to know? They want to know the approximate location of where you heard the gunshot. And if possible, they want to know the direction of travel that somebody is moving in. So gunshots, you want to call the Denver, you want to call 911 for gunshots. For fireworks, you want to Google Denver firework hotline and call that phone number so that those can get routed appropriately. I learned just a few weeks ago that texting, you can text 911 and that's different than texting a tip. So if you want to text 911, you can do that. Those get responded to in real time. But if you text a tip number, the number that I see floating around on Facebook, those do not get answered in real time. Those are tips. Those are like, hey, I think I have Ring doorbell camera of somebody's package getting stolen off the porch. Do you want it? That's what text a tip is for. They're for tips. It's not for a crime in progress. It's not for immediate police action because they're not responded to in real time. Now, you can text the numbers 911 in Denver and you will get a real-time answer from a 911 operator. I talked really fast. So if you missed any of what I said, you can ask me and I'll talk fast again. I'm going to
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, okay.
Jack?
Yeah.
My follow-up question is, what if you don't know if it's a firework or a gunshot? Because the gunshots that were at the rec center sounded a lot to me like fireworks, and I thought they were until somebody screamed in my front steps that they were shot.
Then I'd call 911.
Okay.
If you think it's a gunshot, I would call 911.
I don't know that I thought that it was. I thought it was fireworks, but I was wrong. So I didn't call anybody until I heard somebody screaming.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I think Officer Friends is actually still on the line with us. Officer Friends,
Amanda Schultz said, if you're unsure, call 911.
Outstanding answer. Then we'll go with that. If you're not sure what it is, you should call 911. The Denver firework hotline is 720-913-2059. That's where you can report your fireworks and they will get reviewed. So gunshots, 911, fireworks, 720-913-2059. Don't text anyone unless it's texting the numbers 911. All right, I'm done.
Thank you, Jack. Safe streets. Anything more than? Okay. Do we want to maybe collaborate on a communication to Lieutenant Hines about what we might want to see in a?
Yeah, I can help you with that.
You want to? Yeah. Okay.
Do you have any information about
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking about you attending that commanders.
That was actually just relaying from a neighbor. But yeah, I think one thing I think that is of interest probably to the neighborhood is Dottie has been in contact. They are starting preliminary designs around making the Central Park Boulevard MLK intersection safer. They sent me a preliminary design, but I think the most important thing is I'm trying to see if they'll be willing to do a public feedback session because I know That has been a particular intersection of concern for so many neighbors for so long. So hopefully we'll have more info, but the Safe Streets Committee and CPUN, when there's more information to share, we'll be sure to share with everybody, because I just know it's top of everybody's mind. So
no preliminary recommendations.
They sent a sketch of like what a mock-up from a contractor about what they could do. It was very much in sort of like traffic engineer diagrams and speak. I asked Dottie, like, could you maybe translate this to like normal people, language and understanding, and then we can, if you're comfortable, then we can share it with the community and get the feedback. But still waiting to hear back.
But lights, I assume, not like roundabouts or anything.
No, I don't. From my understanding, like there's just not funding for that, but
Okay.
there is to try to make like, I think maybe the lights more visible and change some of the lanes. And anyway, so hopefully we'll have more information soon.
And also, always trying to piggyback. I sent an email earlier this week to Brad and Eric Herbst from NETC and Dottie and someone else too. And Brad was the only one who responded. I was asking for how it's possible to help the urban farm get some bike racks outside. And I've been trying to achieve this for a number of years. Actually, Jack, I did not try you, but you're also affiliated with Parks and Rec if you know how to get some bike racks over at the urban farm. But maybe we just got some bike racks. But yeah, can you do that at the end of this meeting?
Years of work.
It's been years. But Brad directed me to a great website where anyone can go to the city and request bike racks in the right of way, and then that goes on a list and they evaluate it. And I thought that was very interesting. Can you go put them at the urban farm? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brad. I just wanted to-
Sustainability, bike racks. Anything else from anything from sustainability? Jamie, I haven't gotten a chance to take a look at it yet. Like I said, I've just gotten back from my vacation, but I saw that there was something on the fruit harvest project. Is that worth summarizing, or am I putting you on the spot with?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Not a clue.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Well,
I'll take a look.
I should have. Oh, do you? Brad will speak to it. Yeah.
Nothing on that, but I actually recently had coffee with Grace Rink, who's the executive director of our, I always forget what the acronym stands for, but essentially the Climate Change Office for Denver. And she expressed an interest, one, in attending some of our sustainability committee meetings in the future. But two, she was really interested in hearing feedback from any neighbors that took advantage of the rebates that recently went out for either e-bikes, or if you wanted to get a heat pump or a new hot water heater. So, and Mark, I haven't really shared this with you, but I would love to see if there's some way we could maybe, ask the neighborhood if anybody took advantage of that. I did. And would love to hear if anybody else did, based off of the earlier kind of meeting we did this spring, where we're trying to encourage people to electrify their homes. So a potential idea for a future meeting.
I will say that I've tried to, but again, I'm in no man's land where nobody's responding to me when I try to get the heat pump or the electric car charger or any of that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. And it's actually, a lot of the rebates have expired because enough people took advantage of them. But it's like the e-bike expired, the heat pump one expired. I think there's some other ones that are still available. But I have to imagine there's been people in our neighborhood who have taken advantage of it, and they want feedback on how it went. So I think that might be a future sustainability committee meeting idea.
Thanks, everybody.
One more thing, actually. So I don't have a new email. So if you get one, forward it to me on the fruit map thing. I want to bring one idea back to the sustainability committee, which is at mailbox banks, like at the Maverick pool, there's no recycle bin, right? So everyone just gets their junk mail and throws it away. So I'm wondering what could be done about that.
Jack.
You want bike racks and you want recycling bins. Those, I can do both those things.
Jack's gonna do it.
While you're putting together a wish list, can we get some dog poop bag receptacles and puddle jumper pool?
There is one at Puddle Jumper.
There's a trash can near the pool. I'm talking about the park area, like maybe on the corners around the park area.
All right. Do that.
He says he can do it.
All right.
Great.
fine.
Who else
I mean,
wants some?
if he's taking requests.
Yeah.
All right, committee's gonna ask Jack for stuff.
You can finish the protected
Danny, too.
I'm moving you along.
Let's move it along. Sorry, Brian. All right, let's go on to officer elections. Let's make sure we have quorum, right? We have enough now? Okay. Okay, so why don't we, so we'll need someone to nominate and second, and then,
How about I move we keep the same officers for another year?
Second.
I believe the word you want to use is retain.
Retain, thank you.
retain. Second, was it seconded
Second.
by Jeff? Any objections to that?
I have a mild one, but I'll retract it.
What's your objection? I thought we worked it out, you and I.
It's being filmed.
Yeah.
Mark, when you've done it for 18 years, you can complain.
Did you hear that, Mark?
Yeah, I heard him.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, everyone.
Oh, he doesn't want to be secretary.
Yeah. Okay, so we are at that time of the year. It is summertime, which means we take July off of this meeting, but the expectation is that you use this time to get together with your committees to put together a committee plan that we can discuss as part of the August meeting. I think one of the big things that should come out of this is any budget requests that you have for any events or programming that your committee would like to pursue. I think another thing that we want to ask committees to do is think about how we might use the survey format to ask more specific pointed questions that would give you the information you need or the validation perhaps that you need to pursue a particular project. As we've talked a lot about over the last few months, our board doesn't have license to do whatever it wants. Our operating procedure needs to be that we have reasonable evidence that says the community supports a particular would be supportive of a particular initiative. And so a survey is a good way to get that validation. So think about that. It's the difference between creating an event that everybody, there's sort of an open opportunity that anyone might want to attend versus something a little more targeted or specific. So just try to think about how you might use a survey question to get the kind of information that you need for all of us to proceed with a particular effort.
Or even along those lines, if you think of just the kind of information you want to obtain, then either Mark or I can help craft the language and
Right.
responses to get that.
Right. Did you hear what Amanda said? Yep. For those of you online, do I need to keep passing the computer around or can you hear just fine? You can hear fine? Okay. All right, good.
I can definitely hear Jack fine.
You can hear me? Because I'm using my outside voice.
When is the survey going out?
We haven't
we are.
decided that, but that's one of the things that as part of a plan, you could sort of say, these are the 3 or 4 questions we'd be most keen to have answers.
I will say that Brian Weber reached out to us about some questions from the foundation, and we haven't reconnected with him yet due to holiday schedules, but we had suggested possibly September.
Oh, I didn't realize that you'd followed up with Brian because I reached out to him about that as well today, and that was something that we can maybe talk a little bit. I was going to talk about it later, but Brian from the foundation, Brian Weber, reached out about some education-specific questions that he'd like included in a survey that are oriented around increasing volunteers at the local schools. Is this the same questions that you're referring to, Brian? Or excuse me, Mark?
He did not provide specific questions at the time. I think The plan was when Amanda got back from vacation, we were going to try to find a time to connect then, but it sounds like you beat us to the punch.
Okay. Well, I haven't heard back from him yet, so when I do, I'll loop you and Amanda in. I think including their questions would be. Is there any reason we shouldn't include their questions? If I'd like,
well, we were quite supportive of including their questions. So
yeah,
it was just a question of what those questions were and how soon they wanted responses for it, and if a September survey, so October response, or getting results in early October would be sufficient.
Yeah.
But I think a September survey is probably quite viable and doable. And I would suggest that the education committee should be obviously integrated into that question. See those questions early.
Sure. Well, I'll follow up with Brian tomorrow then. I told him that we would talk about it tonight. I didn't anticipate any objection, but I'll follow up with him and copy you and Amanda on it. Cool. Committee sign up. You're not obligated to stay on any committee. This is a great opportunity to switch if your passions point you in other directions. If for whatever reason you're interested in mixing it up, there is a form that I will share before the end of this meeting where you can add your name. I've kept everyone's name to the best of my knowledge as far as committee chairs and that kind of thing, but feel free to add and remove yourself and do try to do it maybe before the 4th of July holiday so that committees can organize those planning sessions in the month of July. Mark, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to make a quick pitch for anybody who's interested in joining the fundraising committee. Despite the topic, it is actually not the most difficult committee to meet all the requirements of. Generally, what we try to do is meet once a month, have lunch, talk about whatever, and by the end of the meeting, we each commit to reach out to one business in the community each. So the more members we have in that committee, the easier it is for us to raise money for the various sponsorship options that we have available. So if everybody signs up, then we'll have tons of sponsorships and the workload will be very, very low. And you get to have frequent Chipotle, or you get a weigh in on where else we eat lunch. But I always pitch them.
Well, if it's Chipotle, then you know Mark will be there.
Yeah.
Is Jeff Ederer still serving on that committee?
Yes, the 3 of us.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. Good.
Jeff, were you going to talk about why I'm on this?
Yeah.
You got the committee signed up to sleep that.
I just felt like switching it up a little. So the executive or the officers group met at Brian's house a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the year ahead, and this is a bit of a pause. It is a bit of a moment to take a breath and think about the work that we want to do and what's working for everyone, and what isn't, and how we can be better. And wondered if we might just take a minute for everybody to share why they're on the board and what keeps you on the board. This is now a fairly veteran group. We've been together for quite a while now, and I'd love to hear from everybody about why they joined the board in the first place, and what keeps them on the board, and how that how that aligns or doesn't with your experiences on the board to date. I don't mind going first. I joined the board shortly after, at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017. And for reasons like personal and existential, I was looking for something that allowed me to contribute to my community. I didn't know what that was. I just sort of was kind of poking around, and I didn't know what an RNO was. I just kind of stumbled on it as I was doing my research about what outlets for me might look like. And I emailed Damon. It was Damon Knopp, and asked, "Can I come?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." And then 6 weeks later, I was on the board. 6 weeks later, I was on the board, and that was that. And it's been incredibly meaningful for me and deeply personal in a lot of respects to be on this board. I think it fills a very unique and important role in the community as a connector and a community builder. I really value the forum aspect of this and what we do here. And it's been incredibly fulfilling. I think is what keeps me on the board, the things that I'm really passionate about right now. I want to be involved in the unhoused conversation. That's a priority for me over the next year, is building some consensus. Well, consensus might be a strong word, but some momentum around that topic at a community level. I think the second one that's become very pointed in the last few weeks is gun violence and school safety. And where I think about where I want to spend my time in the next year, those are the two things. And I look forward to working with the various committees to make that happen. Anybody else want to share anything? Maybe Jeff? Yeah, Jeff's. Yeah, Jeff's. You go ahead.
All right. So, yeah, I want to echo most of what you said. I thought you said it very well. I find this to be a very meaningful thing to do. Very rewarding way to connect with the community. I was trying to think when I joined. It's been a long time, actually. So when I joined, my kids were young. They were in school, and I wanted to get involved in their Bill Roberts was in sort of a transition at the time. It was unclear if it was going to stay a middle school or possibly become an elementary school. And the middle school kids there was some talk of them being moved out of the community or whatever. So some people approached me and said, hey, would you be interested in going on at the time, the Sun board to support the school. So I did that. And it was interesting because it was sort of a contentious time in the community. There was a lot of people who were worried about were there going to be enough spaces for their kids. I mean, these are sort of problems that have continued in some ways. But anyway, I went through that process, and then I found that actually entering in a contentious kind of time led me to make connections with a lot of people that were very positive. So that was really what sort of brought me in. What keeps me in the board is that I'm kind of fascinated by how our community has shifted from where we were really almost pioneering and trying to figure out how we were going to build this community to now we have a mature community with sort of mature community issues that we're now starting to talk about: unhoused, school violence, things that you tend to see more in urban settings. So I'm interested in those issues. That's why I'm on the Health and Safety Committee. And I like that we've broadened ourselves to be health and not just safety, although safety does tend to dominate often. I think that the unhoused issue is a serious one. And then beyond that, I really just enjoy going to lunch with Mark and Jeff at Chipotle every month, talking about who we're going to hit up for more money. And it's been actually quite rewarding. So I'll second Mark's pitch that if anyone's interested in joining us, that we'd love to have you.
You joined the board in 2010.
2010, 12 years, Jesus.
So if anybody wants to know when they joined the board, we have a list of board members going back to 2004.
Oh, funny.
So,
all right, Brian, they can hear you.
And I think, when I moved into the community, there were a lot of people that were just complaining.
Still are.
And I was frustrated that the people that were complaining didn't want to do anything. And so that was why I went to the meeting in a pocket park on 29th Avenue in 2003 and, have been involved ever since, because I think while the community's grown and changed, I think the issues seem to circulate. And I think people have a very short memory and forget that people like Lieutenant Hines and DPD and our at the time it was Michael Hancock as our city council person. I think those people work really hard, and I think it's good that we're the liaison, and that's what keeps me going, is to see, that when there's something that we're passionate about, something happens. And the recent proclamation from the city council on blood donation, the things that we just continually do just keep me energized and involved. So
I'm going to talk loudly again, so you don't have to change your. I don't have to talk loud. Oh, okay. I've been on the board. How long have I been here? Oh, you moved it. For a little while now. I've worked at the MCA. This will be year 9 here. So I started working at the MCA when I was a lifeguard in high school. Here I am now with my big boy job. And for some reason, I asked to get fired every day, but they won't do it. They won't let me leave. But it's been, to kind of second Brian's comment there, my family moved into our home, house number 5 over by Aviator Pool in 2002. And to see how different the neighborhood is now, we in many ways have overcome the, hey, when you're going to build the street in front of my house, which was a legitimate conversation we had for a very long time, to now the streets in front of my house are too busy and they're not safe. We've left our conversations about, I guess we still have conversations about the dogs running around off leash, but now we've also expanded our conversations into, it's not safe to go outside. I'm worried I'm going to get shot. Not that that's a good conversation that we're having, but they are important conversations to be having. There's important work to be done. My daily life is to get the complaints. I responded to 6 emails today about people who more or less said it's a bad neighborhood and I'm going to move. And so, there is, for whatever reason, some level of discontent, and trying to combat that and trying to work with the people like all of you on the call, all of you sitting here in the room, to really try to address those issues, try to figure out how we make the neighborhood that we all live in and love. We know it's a great place to live, work, and play, and how we share that with everybody else. So that's why I do what I do all day, every day.
Yeah, well, here's what I would say is I think the very essence of good government, of community, is what this RNO is. This is a very connected, a very engaged, and I think it's a community that cares. I think each of us probably hears from neighbors, if not every day, at least every week, about, something that they think could be improved in the neighborhood, and they care about the solution. So for me, like, what gives me energy is that there are so many people that are constantly thinking about what could be improved, what are new ideas, and also are receptive to new ideas when we bring them to them as well. So for me, this work, it energizes me. And I think all of us have put down roots here and have family. And the most important thing for me is how can I make this the best community possible for my little girls and for my family. And I can't think of a better way to spend my time volunteering and where I'd rather be on a Tuesday night at 8:08 p.m. So that's why I'm here.
Thanks, Brad. Do people online want to go next? Maybe Mark, I see you first.
Sure. I will echo with brevity most of what everybody else has said. I like to solve problems. I also work in politics where solving problems is not common to ever happen. But I found that in this organization, we've been able to achieve it at times, in part because I feel like we emphasize better than most any other organization I've ever been a part of, being proactive and listening, because there's a lot of people who just talk and then don't wait to actually listen to the other side. And sometimes that can be really hard because the other side can be quite abrasive at times because we've learned to be that way. But sometimes if you take the time to let that brush past you and listen to the true meaning behind what they're trying to say, and put aside the way they've said it, you can actually bridge some divides and get some things done. And I feel like it's helpful and refreshing to be part of an organization where people actually do that rather than just shouting at each other.
So I'll go next. Can you guys hear me okay? People complain that they can't hear me with my headset.
No, I can hear it fine.
Okay, great. So I'm going to stay off camera though. You know, I joined because I moved into the neighborhood and I wanted to make sure that I was involved in what was going on in the neighborhood and learn about the things that were happening. And so this opportunity to join what was then the Sun Board came up, and I met with the former president, Amanda. We sat down at a coffee shop and we talked for a while, and then I decided to come on board. And what I really think is important, I'm a Denver native, and so it's, you know, I've watched the landscape change and all these different changes happen over the years. And so I think it's very important to play an active role in your neighborhood, whatever neighborhood you happen to be in, instead of just sitting back and, you know, look at what's going on, listen to what's happening, and not doing anything to make any positive changes. And so something that I really appreciate about the CPUN board is that we are able to make substantial changes. And you know, it's good to have these connecting partners, the library and, you know, the city representatives come and speak, and Lieutenant Hines, when he comes in every week and, you know, gives us an update, it helps me to feel like, you know, I'm actually a part of the neighborhood versus just in the neighborhood. So I'm definitely looking forward to, you know, continuing my work here. And the other thing I'll say, I think it's important to volunteer your time. That's something that I've done over the years and that I will continue to do as service to my community. So I just appreciate the opportunity here. That's it.
Thanks, Vandal. Jamie, do you want to go? Are you able to? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think everybody knows that I have a lot of passions and very strong opinions about a lot of things. And I, you know, as you know, it's in my perspective, you know, change doesn't happen at the top. I'm not a politician, right? Change doesn't really happen at the top the way we're often told it does. Change happens at the local level and moves up. And so for me, working locally is the most effective way to bring about things that I really care about. And I care a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I care a lot about environmental sustainability. I care a lot about gun safety and school safety and the homelessness issue as well. So, you know, these are things I sort of think about and teach about in my daily life. And I really think that the best way to make improvements in those areas is to work at the local level. And so I was, you know, interested in joining the board. You know, in my training, I'm trained as a project director, which means that I oversee really big projects and I can come up with really big ideas. Most of those ideas fizzle out and are not successful, but some of them take hold. And I think some of those have taken hold here, which is great. And, you know, I really want to raise my daughter in the type of environment that I want her to grow up in. I want her to go to safe school. I don't want to be afraid to send her to school. I don't want her to have to do shooter drills in school. And I work internationally a lot, and I know very much that this is an American problem. And so I want to fix that. And I think about death a lot because I'm an archaeologist and I excavate dead things. And basically at the end of my life, I want to feel like I have improved every place that I've been just a little bit. You know, wherever you go, there you are. And you need to make sure that you improve every place that you go just a little bit for you having been there. And so I hope that in working with the board for however long I'm here, that I do that just a little bit. And even if I'm not on the board, I hope at least in my little corner of the world or wherever I'm working, I can do that just a little bit.
Thanks, Jamie. I see, is Shalise still here? I'd love to hear what Shalise had to say. Is there anyone else on the call that sorry, there's a attachment there. Is there anyone else on the call that just feels like saying why they get involved in community service? If it's Amanda or Brooke or anybody else? Don't feel obligated. I think you hear a lot of themes there. And I think it's a question that's worth reflecting on from time to time, because we're all very busy people, and it's easy to sort of get distracted or get frustrated or get, kind of put off by things or just maybe kind of kick the can. But when you kind of stop and reflect and think about why you're doing it, I think at least for me, and I hope for others, it does give you that kind of jolt of ready to do something. Like, okay, what's the next thing? What can we do? How can we help? I think a lot about what Mark just said. A lot, we're in a unique position to such that someone that might want to write an angry letter doesn't have to. They can come to us and we can help, and that's a really unique position to be in. And I'm really grateful that we're able to do it. And so I think when we go away here for the summer, I hope everybody relaxes and refreshes and takes a minute for themselves. And I hope in that time there's a little bit of CPUN in your brain about what you want to do and how you want to spend your time in the next board year. So thank you for taking the time and sharing that, all of that, everybody. It's much appreciated. Mark, you want to talk a little bit about Denver Days, right?
I just wanted to make sure that we recognize that it's happening. I would also encourage us at some point to figure out if there's a way to get back to doing a neighborhood block party day. I feel like the timing of Denver Days, because it's in the peak of the heat of the summer, is kind of an awkward time to do it. But I feel like there was some benefit to our organization for having a regular, sort of community-wide day that we all sort of touted and gave us some recognition as a group of that we exist and that we're trying to do things. And Denver Days is certainly a way to do that. It was sort of, I think, originally created and modeled after our block party day. So I don't know if the best approach is to try to get everybody to do a block party during that time or what, but I do think it makes sense for us to move back towards trying to do unity types events, like a unity type event like that again, of block party day like we used to, in part because I don't know all my neighbors anymore. When we had block parties every year, we kind of moved away from having a block party day, and I got tired of being the one to organize it every time, so I stopped. And now I've got people who moved in and out, and I don't think I've ever met them in the 5 or 6 years that they've lived there, if it's the same people. So I think it'd be great if we had something like that to do, but I'm open to thoughts or ideas people have.
Well, the issue we have though is that that was based on block captains, it seems. I mean, we had the network.
But it was and it wasn't, right? Like the block captain was usually the one who organized the block party, and we moved away from having block captains around the same time. But there was never a requirement that you organize a block party as part of being a block captain, and there's no need to have block captains to do it. We just need somebody in an area or on a block to say, I want to organize a simple event for neighbors to get to know each other.
Maybe if we had some way to support someone and then put it in the blast email, like, hey, if you're interested in organizing this, contact us and we can give you these resources or something like that. Maybe that would help get people motivated. If we set a day, obviously that would help.
So more being a facilitator for other people's.
Because before it was, yeah, as the block captain already had contact with pretty much everyone on the block. At least on my block, I would email every few months with an update or whatever. So it was easy to organize it and get everyone involved. It would be harder, I guess, now to do it, but it would still be possible.
Yeah, what form did they take? They were just kind of block parties with the barriers up. Is that right, Mark?
So it was a wide range. In my block, we always did it in an alley because we have a shared alley for my block, and we didn't necessarily do any kind of formal, barriers or anything. We just had people wheel their grills, and it was sort of a potluck. Other places with super organizers did multi-block parties at like an MCA park or something, and it usually ended up being a block specific kind of thing. The main purposes were in part so that you actually knew who your neighbors were, so that you had a way of contacting them if you saw anything going on, or in particular if you saw your neighbor locked out or something like that, you didn't think it was a burglar and called the cops on them. And just that sort of a familiarity definitely helps of having a formal event makes people a little more inclined to be like, hey, yeah, let's do an event of some sort where we get to know the people who live there. And I've seen the lack of the block party turn into a lack of knowing my neighbors in my area, and it made me realize it would probably be a good idea to restart that at some point.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to think about like what the CPUN entity version of that is, or are you sort of saying what Jeff is saying, which is
We're the only
facilitator?
Yeah, I mean, the two things that we can do that we did in the past were pick a day and declare it. And then two was we put out a block party toolkit that I remodeled into the city's block party toolkit. The hard part is picking a day because no matter what day you pick, there's going to be a reason the weather ends up being terrible. If you consistently use the same day year after year, one of those years it's going to be too hot. One of those years it's going to rain. And we kept moving it around back then, and ended up picking a day in May, moving to June, trying to move back to that same day in May because June was too hot. And then it turned out that the neighborhood, garage sale day ended up moving in that time frame into the day that we had picked in May, and people complained about having the overlap. So I don't know if September is a good time to look at it, or if people are just too busy with start of school or what September. But or again, looking at Denver days and then keying everything more towards a get together early in the day for a short coffee in the morning or something like that instead. A couple directions we could go, and it's not something we have to decide now. We can sort of let people let it percolate and think about it. I would just put it on our agenda maybe for an activity of some sort in 2023 where we put some thought and planning into it in 2022.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Unless we want to do it in September to get everybody to take our survey at the same time. So,
Wasn't I think the outreach committee.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Outreach committee. Yeah, Mark, you and I can talk about maybe start there.
Yeah, we can start there.
Okay.
Be good to have another one of those outreach and communications meetings again. We haven't had one in 4 months. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Does the MCA do anything for Denver days specifically?
We used to, we haven't in a while.
Okay.
I think there is that.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Jack got quiet. I don't know what happened,
Yes,
man. He's tired or something, but I can't hear him anymore.
He's just screwing with people tonight. Now he's gotten real quiet. He said the MCA may have some paid resources available to help organize things as well. So it's a resource to potentially draw on.
Well, let's find a time for Jack and the MCA to have a meeting with us. Maybe, I don't know, over lunch at somebody's favorite lunch spot. You guys can think what read my mind, and we'll find a way to make it happen.
Sounds good. Yeah, so this survey slide, I kind of covered it already. It looks like we want to target September for a survey where we'll get the foundations slides or questions in there, and then for the committee, things where again, community backing would be valuable to proceeding with a project. Be mindful of that as you do your planning for the next year.
Can I add one quick thing here?
Yeah, please.
I would like to and plan to put in a proposal for doing some social media or maybe Google advertising for within our neighborhood to get people to take our survey as part of our outreach this year. I think it'll be a beneficial way of kind of reaching some people, particularly like in apartments and stuff like that, who we can't otherwise easily reach. And a survey is often, in my area, a good way to get people to engage because you're starting with a offer to listen.
Sure.
Which leads nicely into the next.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think
Brian, when you do this, can you also talk about the budgeting process? Yeah.
So
Thanks.
I was going to do that. So I think the two things to point out here are our reserve balance of $14,000. I think that's probably the largest that we've had
By far, right?
Yeah. So and we will have Nation Builder coming up again, and that will take it down. But then if you go down to the second to the last bullet point, the fundraising committee's raised almost as much as we will have to pay. So if we keep that up based on where Mark was, his original plan was to have at least as much as we need raised for the next year. So I think we're in a good spot. I'm not concerned. And so I think that where we have gotten away from is, are there needs for us to invest in the community? MCA constantly will provide us resourcing money up to a couple $1,000s a year. And I can tell you, we haven't spent that in a lot of years. So, I know Jamie had an idea for the Indigenous person activity. Sorry, Jamie, if I just butchered that in any way. But, I think those type of activities are what the committees need to think about. And then we'll come back in September, submit those, we'll put it together, and then, see where that leads us. I will tell you that, the magic number is always, we do have our insurance, which is less than $1,000, but we do try to keep that reserve balance in the, high single thousand, so $8,000-9,000. So it's not like we have an unlimited. If we don't raise it, we can't spend it. So the other thing is to think about, are there ways other than the email blasts or things like that we could add more to the fundraising too. So yeah. I think there's two components there. We've always got to worry about what we're bringing in, and not be afraid to spend a little bit too.
Yeah. And just process wise, people will submit proposals in August with an idea of finalizing the budget in September. Is that right?
Yep.
Right. I think what Brian's saying there is right. I think the fundraising aspect of this is relatively new, and it gives us a lot more money than we're used to playing with. It's good to have that money. It's also, I don't feel necessarily appropriate for us to be sitting on a bunch of money. That's not to say that we should be loose with it. As Brian said, we have a floor that we need to protect, but if we can be reinvesting this money in a way that has direct community benefit, we're in a great position to be doing that and to be doing that now. So,
But I think, and I want to say things like, you know, we talked about the gun safety and education. You know, that's a perfect event that could draw a lot of people, and you let someone sponsor it. So, you know, they provide a financial sponsorship for the cost of the, you know, although the MCA doesn't charge us usually if it was here, but you know, the cost of refreshments or things like that. And so don't just come up with the event, but also be thinking about, just like Jeff and Mark said, think about who you can go to in the community to sponsor it. And I think there's probably more money out there than we realize and we actually take advantage of. It's just a matter of asking a lot of times.
it really is, like with sustainable neighborhoods. Mark and I would put something together and just ask Taylor Mollers, and she'd almost always come through for us. And so we have money to spend. Don't necessarily need to spend it unnecessarily, though. There's great funding resources available through the city. Amanda Schultz, if you're still here, you can attest to that, I'm sure.
I am still here and we try. So let us know if there's something that you come up with. And certainly if there's an opportunity to work together, we are always open to it and excited to partner with you all.
Thanks. Anything else on the, is there any ambiguity about what we can or can't spend money on? Are there any questions along those lines that maybe we could get out now?
And I'm happy if anybody has questions, want to talk. I mean, there are plenty of ideas that have happened over the years that have, you know, the block party day, we used to get sponsors, we had a kickball tournament. We've done lots of things that, you know, are out there. And so if you have ideas, you want to bounce them off at, hey, has this happened? I also think that using Jeff Etter and the Central Park Business Association is a way to kind of also get people to get back to the communities.
Great.
And Jeff is working that too.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I mean, Brian, thanks for bringing up the sort of Indigenous dancers. So I think that's something to revisit. The question I always have is about insurance. Like if we have people come to events like that, do we have an insurance policy that's
yeah, so we haven't needed it, but we have a events writer on our policy that all we have to do is just give the insurance company the information and we will get an insurance certificate in whatever form we need. But our events, all of our events are covered as well. So the insurance is really two. One is for events and two is director and officer liability. So if we would ever do anything and someone would sue us, the insurance company would cover it. So those are the two things that are covered by the insurance.
Cool.
Thank you.
If we were to think about event depending on location, I think there are ways to there are ways to identify any process in those situations.
Yeah.
So that's just part of that event.
Yeah, Diane and Kevin have never been opposed.
No.
You know, apart for, you know, one of the greens or the cube or anything. That's very,
Yeah.
In case sorry, were you going to ask something, Jamie?
No, I do appreciate sort of the fundraising efforts because I think that's a really important component, especially from some committees. So I appreciate the work that's being done.
Yeah.
If I was good at fundraising, I wouldn't be an archaeologist.
It's a lot easier than you think. You go to Chipotle once a month. You have a fun conversation about whatever the topic of the day is. You go to one business in the neighborhood, you pass on a flyer, make a quick, simple request. And the more people we have, the better the odds that somebody says yes.
Yeah, I can't remember if this has been.
And your
covered.
first burrito is free.
I missed a couple of meetings, but have we talked about what we're doing with the Aurora I realize we're at the end of the meeting, but weren't we talking about bringing Aurora residents into CPUN? Does that happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're trying to do that in a couple of fronts. I haven't had much luck with Aurora PD.
Okay.
They were going to be the community stakeholder representative that we wanted to start with. Outreach efforts to new members have gone out community wide. Frankly, we haven't gotten much interest. We've had a couple of people who've expressed some interest, not specifically from Aurora, but it just kind of
But we
petered out.
updated the bylaws, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All that's updated. It's just now a matter of recruitment. I mean, that's the other thing for the board to be thinking about is we have a bunch of open seats and we did that for some specific reasons. And so can we be mindful of connecting with people that might be a good fit for the board?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I put the committee sign up sheet in the chat. I'll just send an email as well with some of the key things we've talked about tonight so that people have that handy for summer planning. But just everyone should have editing access to this. So you can just add or subtract your name from whatever committees you like. Do note that at the bottom, there's a special section for I called community organizations. So Carol attending the INC meetings. Brad, I don't know if you're still doing the pedestrian advisory committee, things like that. Yeah. and you want to list all of your accomplishments, please feel free. We'll take advantage, I'm sure. So do pay attention to those as well. All right. Any other topics? We have a couple. Oh, we're actually over. We don't have time.
Really good job. That's all I have to say. Is you covered a lot.
Yeah.
So you did a good job.
If anyone's looking for a fund giving campaign, we're looking for 10,000 euro to buy the site with the earliest female infant burial in Europe. I'll just throw that up there.
We were talking, Jamie and I ran into each other at the pool where I think you need to, I'm going to advocate for that, naming the cave thing. I think that's got to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not really serious, but I'm just, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not good at fundraising. I do need 10,000 euro and somehow we'll find it.
You have more confidence, Jamie.
All right. Well, everybody have Mark and Mandel. Thank you again for connecting tonight and sorting out those flyers for tomorrow. Mandel, Brad, thanks for doing the bike to work day tomorrow. Everybody have a great little summer break here. Looking forward to hearing what all the committees have planned for the year ahead when we reconvene in August. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Mark, I just put my cell phone number in your.
Yep, I replied with mine. See you in a bit.
See you guys. Take care.